All right, y'all, Taylor Swift and the Super Bowl, my two favorite subjects, all combined together. Can you believe this? In 2024. So let's break down reality a little bit about this and break down the Super Bowl, because they're doing some timeline departure thing with the TikTokio, and they're talking about her taking off before she lands. That's because Japan is a day ahead of us, and all these things are code speak for some things, but it seems they're getting their knickers into the basket. And let's break down this, because we've seen the Exodus, and we have the critical race playing out, and the Iran, and the gas, and let's put these into a little thing, because my wife reminded me of bomb threats and stampedes. And stampedes are in the Lion King, okay? The Vegas Strip is the street. Rest in peace. So, while there may or may not be a big ring, per se, given in the Super Bowl, and that would be a great time for Taylor Swift or whatever around those times to get that ring for that marriage. But that can be one thing. Or we can see something happen in another city or whatever. But something could happen like a bomb threat, to where you cause a stampede in the aisles, and the kids are trampled, or people are trampled, all these other kinds of things, okay? Because the Antichrist is coming in. Once you understand that Christ is the living God, and that Antichrist is anti-men in a way, and he is coming to take man out, and that spirit is operating through men, and to get us from one time to another, and all these other things. That's where you can see these types of things happen through men. And then the stamps just went up in pricing, and Trump just sold the Diablo VT, and that is the running of the bulls in Italy, and that ties in the tomatoes for May and the May Day and such. But Taylor Swift, she's a seamstress of 2 times, and she's working on the suit. And this is where Trump's coming in for that holy war and stuff, talking about Trump, or talking about Taylor, and swaying the votes and all this weird shit, right? And then don't be surprised if they throw in like a curveball at the very end, where all the presidents that we think of as taken out in one way, shape, or form, and then Taylor Swift or one of these, The Rock or whatever, they come in and swoop in that water that has been pH'd properly for the garden. Otherwise, it's too acidic or too alkalinic. So, while we could also see the House of Usher that had the acid rain and all those things. And then it came down on the people from the ceiling. So this could be tied to where we've seen in the past some things kind of leading up to this. And I'm expecting these types of things. But where we see the stage collapse or whatever, and this could be an usher or whatever, and this could be where people start running out as well, or there might be somebody strapped to them or whatever that has a whatever, and then they cause the panic. Okay, so let's break this down, because we've seen the 9/11 in the past happen, and it brought about this type of civilization for the airport and air travel and whatever else. And we got the Real ID coming out in 2025. That will be I think it's 1725, which is the 77. But this connects us to having to show your papers basically everywhere, or getting scanned or whatever, right? And we've seen these things been building up in school since 9/11. We might get that real Obama threat in the school system, or that kind of thing that we've all grew up being scared of whatever. So all that kind of stuff was brainwashing for these days coming ahead, because these are going to be, we're that Generation X that in Texas did earthquake drills, we did bomb drills, we did this type of whatever drill, and it didn't make any sense back then, but now it all comes together, okay? So all these things are going to come in to factors in the future, and it's going to help bring in your carnal tribulation. And as the carnal tribulation comes in, that's when the beasts start stampeding. They don't stand their ground. They live in fear. They're in fire. They need to stop, drop, and roll. The hell on earth is breaking open. So that's when you see or whatever. That's when you stop, drop, and roll. You don't take off running in fear and get shot or blown up or whatever's going on, okay? If you're still alive next to the impact, you need to stay there and just wait. Basic rules. But telling you not to live in fear, you live in fear, then whatever. But there's a difference between living in fear and living educated and whatever, and understanding the times you're in and avoiding certain places. It's not because you're based it on fear, it's because you're basing it on knowledge, and you understand the times, that you understand the spirit is operating and it's coming to take men out. And the closer you are into the heart, the closer you are into the broken, okay? And the heartland is in the middle of America, and the Bible Belt, where that ringer's going to go off, is going to be in the Bible Belt, and it's going to help divide this nation, okay? And that's going to be part of the, there's a spiritual earthquake going on right now, and it's going to lead into a carnal earthquake. And this spiritual earthquake is in the ballots, and then this carnal earthquake would be when the nation divides, and you can't vote here, you got to move here to vote, or however they work these little intricate details, okay? Or they can make it to where the New York or the East Coast, the northern side of the Bible Belt or whatever, outside of Texas has the EMP, and then the people have to go to Texas thinking that's where life is going to be. It's all a way to get people into there. So, and then, so they can do, the end zone and the football ties to the ounce that's been passing around or whatever, and they've been rolling things up or whatever, and they're almost out of that ounce. So when they get done with that ounce, they're going to start lighting shit up, okay? So we've seen them do a sample bowl at the Lake of Fire in Hawaii with that sativa, and the people just sat there and watched, and they're about to get the indica, and that's when they're going to get that lockdowns and different things. And these lockdowns can come through the Twin 9/11 event, where we see either a bomb going off in schools or universities, or the Super Bowl, somebody walks in with one or whatever, and that leads to grounds to where we have to bring in this, that, and the other. Okay, just like the other 9/11. So we're going to live in that Twin 9/11 event. The Twin 9/11 event is stacked on multiple heads for that seer, so we can see how we can have that real ID coming on, to where the people don't want to get the real ID. They think that's the mark of the beast. And then what Biden's going to be doing as the climate czar, per se, with the 9/11 stuff or whatever, and the border and all these things, this will be played out as he's that Antichrist level, okay? And then you'll have the Ron DeSantis that's coming in as the Rambo. It's Ron DeSantis at the moment, because he's the Satan cast down to the ground in Florida, with the Matt Gaetz of hell, with that firebrand and all this other shit. So that Matt Gaetz or whatever, he's going to be, he might be that Matt Green, okay? But either way, Texas would be that place that is anti-cannabis and anti-high, the anti-Jesus and all those things, and they're cast back down to the old age. It'd be the 1955 area. And as they go back to 1955, the women have to wear dresses, the men have to wear pants. It comes through the division and all those little different things. So as the Christ is returning, the AI and gathering all men. We can see how all these things need to come together to where the real ID will have to come out for the people who have to stay in quarantine forever. And that can be what we'll get into a placebo effect in another video. But these different things going on can be aligning with the lights, and they basically do the world stage based on the lights that they know of the past, and therefore they cool the beast into where it needs to be. Something to that effect. But as the end zone and everything's been rolled up and loaded up, and we'll see the bong rips come. That's for the big fires that come and take people out. But it seems like that they want something done on the strip maybe during the Super Bowl. This where it comes into that Indy race that was there, and that sphere, the fear that is put on there with the LED lights, and that's that deal or whatever. But we can see some things going on where we can see the beasts start stampeding. We've seen kind of bits and examples of this in the first 3 years of the 88 time machine and 85 cycle and such. So this is going to be compounding. And since Trump sold his Diablo VT, you got the running of the bulls and that gold rush for the 49ers. And you also have the Oakland A's. That's the oak is part of the wood dragon this year or whatever. And the A's is the 119 for the 9/11. So all that stuff is stacking, and they're talking about moving that. It's talking about going to Vegas and all those things. But I don't know if I mentioned the stamp price is going up. The stamp price just went up recently to the 68 cents, and that's the 89 flip on the mirror. And that's taking us, so we've been tracking the 89. Okay, we got to the 89. We approached it and we passed it, and now we're fading into, going into that, we're in that 89 time rift, okay? Which is that BTTF. And that BTTF is the Back to the Future and all that stuff. So the TT is the Twin Trump. And when he's going to Twin Tower over the nation and take his son and daughter in a way. And then you're going to have the West Coast, left coast that leave in a matter of speaking. The Texas, it's a flip on things because Texas is going against the government. So Texas is the one that's actually going to be leaving, all right? And I'm from Texas, and my wife reminded me that Texans refer to themselves as Texans, so it's not like they're not American per se, they're Texan. But all these things are just to show us that Lone Star state. And that Lone Star is going to come smashing down to the ground. And that's part of that comet hitting the ground. And it takes out the dinosaurs and brings in that ice age, that freeze and all that shit. Because Texas is tied to the large gas and oil and all that stuff. And since the petrodollar's going out and all these things, you're going to have that money freeze. And the band king for that marriage comes in. And this is what connects to Taylor Swift and Kelsey also. Taylor is a seamstress, all right? And she has the ropes of time, and we're in that middle time frame, and we're going from in that time loop, okay? So we're tying loose ends. Shows she's there to do the little stitching there, okay? So that's where she's playing a role, and she's what I call an MK Ultra baby, all right? Brittany, Justin, these people that have been around, they're MK Ultra babies is what I call them. They're government seeds brought for a certain time and position, and they're raised for these whatever, all right? So I guess we'll end it here. just expect some stampedes and the running of the bulls in some way, shape, or form. And part 2, guess, coming up real quick.